Hello, this is Chloe Bruce, the natural gas journalist again. I've talked on my YouTube channel in many videos about the treatment of people with mental health conditions in Britain and the attendant socio-economic problems we have. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia many years ago, and I still don't know why. I haven't been had any discussion about what their reasons for this diagnosis was, and I've actually talked in a previous video about the condition of SMI. It's an insulting term. Apparently it means severe mental illness or severely mentally ill, as some people are now saying. And I said how this is an inappropriate medical term. It makes no sense whatsoever unless it's clearly defined by a clinician to that person. And I've actually had no idea what it was, this SMI. So I'm going to read a short statement about what can only be a kind of what I can possibly see personally as medical fraud in Britain on such a mass scale that it goes up to the government and their decision making. So in a previous video, as I've just said, I discussed how insulting it is to be called SMI, which spells out severely mentally ill. I said it was an unfortunate abbreviation in medical terms because it also means mass media in the Russian language. If it had been a competent medical term, it would not matter that it coincided with the hatred of Slavic journalists, as I am. But according to my parent, I have a Jewish Ukrainian heritage, although I personally am a Christian and I'm not of the Jewish faith, although I'm proud of this lineage through my mother line. And I've had two known relatives, and I have no known relatives rather born abroad, although I'm sure I have relatives in the Slavic regions somewhere out there. I have never been told I'm SMI in any formal sense by the healthcare providers. I had to be surprised when the reception decided I had to see a nurse. When asked why this appointment had been made, not by me but by them, they said it was because I was severely mentally ill, SMI. So I've looked up this abbreviation, this word, and apparently, according to the government website, they've got a long document about SMI. And I'm afraid to say this is one of the most unpleasant things I've ever experienced, given the history of journalists like me and the fact that some of my ancestors might be dying in Ukraine. People linked to my ancestry, rather. I wanted to discover my relatives one day and look up my ancestry on an ancestry interpreter, a website that offers links to your lost relatives, and I'm now aware that they might not even be alive, and some of them may have been SME, the word for mass media, and I'm not sure what it is in Ukrainian, but they have lots of Russian speakers, at least they were in Ukraine. Anyway, so on this government website it says that the forms of conditions that fall under the umbrella SMI are bipolar affective disorder and schizophrenia. What I don't know is why they don't just call them that, especially as these are two completely distinct conditions, and they may have different genetic markers for both. Anyway, on this website it says that these people fail in their function and occupation, and they say they function in day-to-day life. And when I looked this up online, what functioning means in medical terms, it means, quite frankly, you can't do anything. And apparently, we can't wipe our own bottoms, and it's that bad. Because I've discussed in previous videos how I had falsified notes. They lied to get my council flat back to the government hands so they could purchase it through their own doing. And I'll come up to that soon, how this happened. I managed to keep this flat. As you can see behind me, this is my council flat, one of the rooms of 2 rooms. And I've discussed how they lied on my notes and said I defecated in my kitchen sink and ate my own excrement. And I've since had to endure after leaving hospital, I wasn't allowed to leave hospital until I accepted cleanliness inspections. And I'm going to just say one thing about these people who bully other people about their cleanliness. I once had a guest, and it was when I was living in Austria, and she started screaming, "What's that? What's that?" just because my slippers were lying on the floor in a lazy manner. And when I went to this person's house, I saw that there was gunge on their kitchen surfaces of this high. And I know these cleanliness hypocrites. Next I'll be doing it for them. Except not. Anyway, so I was supposed to have defecated in my kitchen sink and eaten my own excrement. And I've said in my false confessions situation all of the things they've said about me. I've said it's incompatible with someone working, and I've worked since before I became ill. I'd worked since the age of 15, and in paid employment I'm an accredited journalist in Britain. I have an international press pass, which I've now resigned from because I don't want to pay the National Union of Journalists and money when they have never represented me or given me any genuine advice, which I'll come to also. And I've discussed how slave driver Britain just expects people to work without any kind of ability to pay the day-to-day cost of living, no matter how high their salary, because of the absurd situation with our property, and I'll come to that also, I hope, today. Anyway, so I decided to study Russian, even though it's Ukrainian hereditary. I've been to Kyiv, and I thought about studying the Ukrainian language, but I thought it'd be too much to take on because I'd managed to acquire Russian from the age of 14. I did GCSE Russian. Anyway, so I'm sitting in my flat now, this supposedly dirty flat, because this functioning of the SMI, the reason I'm being defined as SMI is because I'm filthy, apparently. And I don't clean my flat, I defecate all over the place. I can't manage hygiene or any clean washing myself. And if you consider that 1 to 2% of the population at least have either bipolar affective disorder or schizophrenia, and they need that level of care, I'm sorry, this is an absurd kind of sum of money. I can prove that these are lies, and that as such, the Adult Social Care Fund has been unlawfully tapped. I do not know who the recipients are. I'm still trying to work out who was trying to get a cleaning job on my behalf. I present documental evidence of this. And what I'm planning to do is I'm going to actually prove that they're wrong and that they've lied about my abilities. I know when and how I've cleaned and why I haven't on certain occasions. And this seems to be a chronic condition because I have to have SMI tests because I'm so unhealthy and uncleanly. These conditions that are supposed to be associated with SMI, I'm afraid to say they're actually associated with the drug side effects, including a very high suicide rate in people with SMI. And they cite cardiovascular failure and liver failure. These are all drug side effects. It's hardly our fault if we've been forced to take them or face incarceration longer term. And it's not our fault if we get pinned down and injected against our will with something that will affect our ability to hold a baby without any pregnancy test. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually save them the money of adult social care and hoover in front of everyone in this flat of mine. You can see it's not that cluttered. I'm supposed to have clutter disorder, and I have to say they effectively burgled me while I was in hospital because they didn't like my clutter apparently, but they were still happy to steal it. I've actually told my insurance provider about this. You can be disinsured if you have that level of disability, and I haven't been. I think they should. And what about my accounts? Who's looking after them if I have that level of disability? I'm afraid to say they have to say who is the recipient of this Adult Social Care Fund in a matter of urgency, because I'm actually going to write a list of people I plan to prosecute, and if I can't prosecute in Great Britain, I will go to the International Court of Human Rights, and if they don't want to hear my story, then I will emigrate abroad. And if they force me to work in a country that I can't work in because of the reasons I've described, the innate hostility towards women in the workplace and inequality. And these are the very reasons that people seek asylum in Britain. But now they're planning to, as I've said in a previous video, take them away in a barge, and I know I'm next on it. I didn't know that my taxes would go to no welfare state, and it's about time they say and explain why there is very little in the way of a welfare state left, even for the British people. And if it's hurting me and happening to me, can you imagine what's happening to people who come from overseas hoping to make good in Britain and discover they're that hated? Thank you.